Hello and welcome back to another video, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you my first impressions of the new Crystalline Conflict PVP mode in Final Fantasy XIV. So that was released a few days ago now, and I've been playing it quite a lot. In fact, I've really found it quite hard to stop playing it, which is going to kind of give a spoiler as to what my opinion of the game mode is at the moment. But yes, but before we get into it properly, please do like the video and subscribe. It helps the channel a ton, and I'd really appreciate it. But yes, having said that, let's get into it and let's start talking about what I like. Okay, so I am generally a person who predominantly played Final Fantasy XIV for the main scenario quest. I didn't really do too much else other than play for the story. I was kind of an MSQ Andy, and new main scenario quests has been released with patch 6.1. The new chapter, a new found adventure, has been released, and I have yet to even start it because I cannot stop playing Crystalline Conflict. It is an absolute ton of fun, and it's pretty rare to say that, really, or it's pretty I guess kind of surprising to say that one of the most fun modes in Final Fantasy XIV is a PvP mode, considering how PvP has been for Final Fantasy XIV ever since it, ever since it started. I did do the duty roulette when I was leveling up characters in the frontline event, but that is literally, no one cares about that. You just go in there to get the XP bonus and leave. That's kind of all that is. But that's all I did in terms of PvP. I tried some of the other modes, and I mean, they're okay. I was really quite shit at them, and a lot of them you couldn't even get into play. But Crystalline Conflict, being a new game mode, is there's no struggle to find games. Like it's instant queue pop, and I do like the fact that there is no sort of set kind of roles that people need to fulfill. So you can play whatever job you want, and you can get straight into a game like that. There's no desire for healers, because all classes are kind of designed similarly. Now, when playing, or my first impression of the game mode when playing it for the first time, or for the first few times, was this game has been designed, it seems like this game mode has been designed with one major philosophy in mind, and that is this fun? And it is, as I've said. The game mode is in some cases utter chaos. It is madness, but it is fun. And is it balanced well? Who knows? I don't know. Probably not. But that's not really the desire for it at this point in time. It was just to make a game mode that's addictive and is going to get people playing, and they have succeeded in that, in my opinion. And you can already start to see there are some metas beginning to form, which is fairly common with PvP games or PvP game modes. I'm seeing a lot of dragoons when I'm playing a dragoon, but yeah, and there's a lot of warriors, and I'm seeing a lot of ninjas and white mages and some of the other jobs you're not seeing as much, but that will get worked on over time in terms of balance and how usable all the jobs are. Although I haven't really seen myself a job that is completely utterly useless. I think everything seems to be usable, but I think some jobs are, I don't want to say better than others, but certainly easier to get grips of than others. I certainly find the dragoon to be an easier job to play, which is why I play it, because I have a smooth brain, and it just helps for me to just play a simple class. So one thing that I do like, which they've done with the change with the PvP, which we can have a look at if I can figure out how to press this. Okay, here we go. Come on, there we go. Is that they've changed the way that abilities work. So before, when you did PvP, you had separate abilities, separate PvP abilities, as I'm sure you know. Now what they've done is they've really kind of stripped it down to being almost like a MOBA, where all of the abilities you need won't even fill, or for the dragoon, but I think it's different for other jobs, but won't even fill a full bar. So you only have, so you have like 4 class abilities: your ult, And then you have and there's 5. Okay, so you got 5 class abilities. You have your ult, and then you have your your combat role abilities, which is the guard, it's the purify, and the heal, and the longer duration heal as well, and the sprint. So it's all very like streamlined down into being kind of like a MOBA style gameplay, which I think makes it a lot more fun, and I think it probably makes it a lot easier to balance, I suppose, and a lot easier to design classes. The thing is, if we were to move over to go to Limsa quickly, you could see the amount of abilities. This is maybe not the best example, because this is not. You can see my dragoon is at level 90, it's level 81. Where's my Reaper? But you can see with the Reaper, like, everything is so filled up, and to be able to know what to do with all of these buttons whilst trying to, you know, move around in a PvP like dogfight, I think would be extremely overcomplicated, and I think it would just result in the vast majority of people just spamming AoE, which is probably what I would do. So trimming it down, I think, was a great choice. Now, one thing that I do really like about this as well, and I know this is not new for Final Fantasy XIV at all, but because I decided, like, I leveled up my dragoon from level 1 to 80, playing up through Realm Reborn Shadowbringers, then I switched over to Reaper in Endwalker, but now I'm passively leveling up my dragoon while playing Crystalline Conflict, which is great. That I just get to level up my job by doing game modes that I want to do, you know? I just like that a lot. One thing that I am wondering is, because I do believe that the job fantasy within the PvP mode is, although they do cut down the jobs to their, you know, the very essences, the very bare bones of what they are, the job fantasy still exists for me, with the jobs that I've tried in the PvP mode, but I do wonder if they'll explore doing the role fantasy a little bit more. I do feel like, at this point in time, every sort of job in the way that they're set up is very, I don't want to say similar, but, you know, everything is set up to do damage, essentially. Everything is kind of set up with a mind to be able to, you know, do damage, which makes sense, and it also helps the fact that you don't need any sort of specific roles in your group to be able to queue, so anyone can just queue for anything, so that does help. But I do wonder if down the line maybe they'll look at like healers and tanks and see if they can tweak the jobs to being a bit more, you know, healery and tanky. Although I do know some of the healers do have healing abilities. But I don't know, I just thought that was a bit interesting to explore. Well, one thing that's very important to, it seems that's very important to Final Fantasy devs is nullifying toxicity within the game. And they do that in various ways, and they've certainly taken to doing that in this game. So how they've done that is that at this point in time, to be able to queue for Crystalline Conflict, only queue solo. And also you can see down here in this hotbar here, these are our chat functions, so there is no chat as well. You can only use these chat functions to communicate. Which also is obviously there to nullify toxicity, so you can't, you know, join a big group and just, you know, spurg rush through solos. That's not possible. You can play in a group if you want, but doesn't seem to be any sort of rewards for it. You can only queue solo. There's no in-game chat function, so you have to use the chat buttons here. Also, I think one thing that's good about it is that the games are short as well. So the games are like 5 minutes long. So that does mean that if you play a competitive game, you get the 5 minutes of back and forth, and it's all very fun. But if you do enter a game and you get steamrolled, you're only going to be in the game for like 2 minutes, and then you're back out, and then you're starting again. So that's not too bad. It doesn't feel that bad when you're there for a few minutes, unlike if you're playing like a game of Dota and you're getting beat, but you've got another 30 or 40 minutes left of the game that you have to just slog through. So that helps a lot, actually, and I do like that. Also, to nullify within ranked matches is when you obtain a rank, so if you go up to like silver or gold or whatever, you cannot lose the rank once you've obtained it. So no matter how much of a loss streak you go on, you're going to still stick at, like, you'll go down, say if you're on bronze 3 and you're about to go up to silver, but then you have a 2-loss streak, you will go back down to bronze 1. but well, you can't go lower than bronze. That's a bad example. Let's say you're on gold 3, and then you have a loss streak of a couple of matches. You go down to gold 1, or then you have another loss. Then you'll stay at gold 1, but you can go down in the subcategories between the ranks, if you know what I mean. But you will always stay at the rank that you earn through playing ranked mode. Now, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I do think it helps a lot. You know, the solo queues, and the solo queue in particular is a good idea because it helps everyone get introduced to the game mode, and it stops people from steamrolling through in groups. What I would say is that I think that yes, that's fine for now, but I do think that be able to open up ranked and casual matches for people in groups where they can earn rewards and things like that, just like in Valorant, just like in Dota, just like in, you know, all of those competitive games, I think it's important and does need to be looked at in the future, in my opinion. I think, although that being said, I do think it should be under another queue. So I do think it should be, you know, I think Dota does this. I'm not entirely sure, but I think there is, I don't play it, Dota, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think there is a solo queue where if you're going in alone, you'll go into that sort of pool of players, and then or if you're in a group of players, then you go into a different queue. I do think that should be allowed because, you know, it's a social, you know, like MMOs and multiplayer games should be social. You should be able to jump in a game with your friends and, you know, earn the crystals, yeah, be able to earn the milestones and go through well, what's essentially the series milestones. It's essentially a battle pass that you don't pay for, with your friends, and earn all of the things. I hope that that's something that they do decide to open up in future, a queue for casual and ranked matches for people in groups. Could be genuinely, Crystalline Conflict could be a way to get people to play the game, you know, get people to come and have a try the game, but when they find out that they can't play with their friends, I don't know, it just doesn't sit right. But I think if the idea is to have it solo queue for now, whilst everyone's, you know, whilst the game is new, and then opening it up to, you know, being able to queue with the group later on, whether that's in the, I do think it should be in a separate queue. And I don't think, I can understand that there may be some worry that that's allowing people to be able to queue up in groups and play ranked mode could create some toxicity within the game, and that is kind of par for the course when you're creating a competitive game mode. But one thing that I will say is that considering there is no chat function and there's no way for you to be able to communicate with the opposite team, that should nullify that, really. And for people who are trying to join like competitive teams, like let's say there's a bunch of free companies that open up that are solely there to play competitive Crystalline Conflict. Considering there's no like ability to be able to speak to each other in game, people will have to go off and try and find communities through Discord, and hopefully that extra step will wean out some of the weirds. Hopefully, unlikely, unfortunately, but hopefully it would. I guess, I don't know, I guess we'll see. But my major takeaway from this, as a first impression to this brand new game mode, is that it's very fun, it's very addictive, and I think it has a lot of scope to grow and become something much bigger than it is. And I do genuinely think this could open up into being like a tournament style game that they do at the fan fests, or, you know, wherever. This could, you know, become a bit of a esport if you wanted it to be, and I do think they should allow it to be. I think the community would be there for it. I think the game mode is deep enough to well, from a first impression, it does seem like the game mode is, you know, deep enough to allow that. And why not? Why not actually have Final Fantasy have decent, and why not? You know, Final Fantasy for the longest time within this MMO has been known for top storytelling and top raids and trials, and why not have it known for top PvP as well? And I think it could do. I think they just got to push the game mode. And to summarize this kind of ramble that I hope makes sense when I edit it, at least, is that I think this game mode is ridiculously fun. It's kept me away from playing the main scenario quest. I haven't even touched it. Oh, look, you can see. Hold on. Why did it take that long? You could see that I haven't even started it yet because I can't stop playing it. Oh, and one thing I should mention is that there's also they've done the Garrow event, which is where basically you use wolf marks to get some Garrow gear. You put it on, you go speak to a person, they give you a title, and then you equip the title. And then what you do is, with the title on, you just have to get a certain amount of wins in PvP modes, Crystalline Conflict and other ones, and you unlock some mounts. So that's what a perfect event to put on whilst releasing a new PvP mode. Genius, 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 genius. First impressions, I can't stop playing. It seems like they've really just designed this to be mental and to be as fun as they can be, and I think they've succeeded with that so far. I think we are starting to see metas form, and we are starting to see, you know, metas form, but that is going to happen. It's a competitive PvP game. We just have to accept that metas will form. But it's a thumbs up from me. Absolutely. I'm going to play the shit out of this game mode, and I'm going to be playing it a lot on and off stream, and I'm going to be trying to, it's even motivating me to level up characters, level up jobs, sorry, so I can try them all. I do definitely want to do a ninja, because they look very powerful. They do so much damage. I might have to try that. But yes, anyway, I hope that makes sense. So essentially my first impression is it's a brilliant game mode, and I really hope they develop it further. And generally I do think that, the changes that they've done to the PvP with the abilities and so on was brilliant, and is great. And I think they finally, you know, Final Fantasy XIV and PvP are finally seems to be coinciding, and it's not PvP doesn't seem to be much of an afterthought anymore, so that's great. It looks like we're going down the right direction with PvP, and I'm excited to see where we go from now. So I will leave this here, and I hope I can edit this into something that makes sense. But thank you all for watching. Please do like the video and subscribe, and follow me on Twitch, where I'm going to be playing this Crystalline Conflict a lot for a long time basically. So please do that, but otherwise, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye bye.